Hi, welcome to Matka Medicine at matkamedicine.com. I am Bhavin Jankharia, a radiologist and physician in practice for the last 30 odd years. Now, if you have questions about what Matka and Matka Medicine are, please check out my post and or podcast titled Our Health Matkas, Understanding Them and Taking Control, published on 25th December at the site matkamedicine.com or wherever you have found this podcast. And you could also check out my post on the four Atmas. Today's topic is Ayurveda is also allopathy. A decade or so ago, a friend of mine took some Ayurvedic powder for weight loss that resulted in immediate renal damage, which then proceeded to renal failure, which then needed long term dialysis, eventually necessitating a renal transplant, and throughout this ordeal, creating hell for the family. The powder, when tested, was found to contain heavy metals and steroids. When a drug is used to produce an effect to counter the existing problem, example, using some powder to increase the body's metabolism to induce weight loss, as in my friend's case, that is termed allopathy. This definition was coined by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann in 1810 in an attempt to separate homeopathy, which he invented, from the kind of medicine practiced at the time. And since homeopathy uses the concept of like cures like, he referred to allopathy as the practice of treating diseases by means of drugs that produce an opposite effect to the existing symptoms. So let me explain again. Whenever drugs or medicines are used to treat disease, by treating the symptoms rather than the root cause, whether with modern medicine drugs, for example, using paracetamol to reduce fever, or with traditional medicine concoctions or powders, for example, Ayurvedic and other medicines to reduce fever, that is allopathy. It is only when we move away from alleviating symptoms to treating the root cause of the disease by, let's say, using antibiotics against the bacteria that cause the fever, or institute measures to prevent the disease in the first place, whether with traditional or modern medicine, that we move away from allopathy in the true sense. In the Charak Samhita, which is one of the Bibles of Ayurveda, there is a saying: those who know about herbs use cold to soothe diseases caused by heat, and the medicine for those diseases caused by cold is heat. And this is taken from a lovely translation by Dominic Vujacic called Roots of Ayurveda. It further goes on to say, it is the same for other diseases too. The medicine is the opposite of the cause. So diseases caused by depletion cannot be soothed by anything other than a supplement. And similarly, diseases caused by surfeit cannot be soothed by anything but depletion. By now, many of you must have read about or seen the video where Mr. Ramdev alleges that allopathy has killed millions of Indians during COVID-19. I didn't quite understand what he was trying to say, and I don't quite understand what he anyway says most of the times. Because on the one hand, he says that modern drugs don't work in COVID-19, and he's mostly correct. And then says that these non-working drugs led to death, which makes no sense if the drugs don't work. The problem is that Mr. Ramdev does not understand, and like many other doctors and practitioners of all different types of medicine, does not understand the meaning of the word allopathy and uses it as a surrogate for modern medicine. But most of treatment, drug based Ayurveda is nothing but allopathy anyway, as against the non drug forms of Ayurveda that are more focused on prevention and moderation and balance in life, which actually help our Atmasvast quest to live long healthy. And there's a flow chart here that shows, where does homeopathy fit in, and that's like cures like, and then opposite cures opposite, which is allopathy. And whether it's traditional medicine or modern medicine, they almost pretty much behave the same way. So the issue is the conflict between traditional and modern medicine when it basically comes down to money. So, new age Ayurveda, the kind that is peddled by Mr. Ramdev and many others, is not even really traditional medicine or true Ayurveda, but something else entirely. Businesses created to profit from peddling bits and pieces of traditional Ayurvedic medicine. Just because a drug is herbal or plant-based or so-called natural does not mean it does not have side effects or won't be dangerous. In fact, drugs produced by pharma companies and factories as part of modern medicine are safer because, at the least, their use has been validated through clinical trials and their safety established via various regulations. Whereas when it comes to Ayurvedic and other traditional drugs and formulations, anyone can pretty much put up anything for sale without any check, control, or validation. No system is perfect. Traditional medicine lacks oversight, scrutiny, and transparency. Modern medicine comes with the illogical and uncontrollable use of investigations, drugs, and surgery. And even homeopathy, while it may seem harmless in the context of its largely non toxic and placebo effect, if a homeopathy drug is used in place of something else that can actually make a difference, then that constitutes potential harm as well. So there's a cartoon by Morparia here, which I urge that you should check out at the site as well. So what is your matka here? Why does this make a difference to you? If you think that by taking Ayurveda drugs you are safer than taking modern medicine drugs, then you're mistaken. In fact, it may be worse because unlike with modern medicine, there is no oversight with other Ayurvedic and other traditional medicines, no quality control, no checks and balances, and hardly any clinical trials to prove efficacy. You must question everything that you put in your body, especially if it comes in the form of a drug or a medicine. And you should not ingest anything whose contents you don't know of, or for which you can't find some reference on PubMed, which is the Google equivalent that doctors use. And the website is www.pubmed.gov. You need to get, and all of us need to get into the habit of having frank conversations with the doctors or practitioners who give us these medicines. And if they refuse to answer your questions or act paternalistic or presumptuous or sanctimonious, change them, irrespective of which branch of medicine they belong to. And lastly, please don't buy anything that has new age tags or is promoted or advertised by self-styled babas or godmen or the like. Yeah. Have a good Sunday. Have a good week. Do spread the message if you can. Thank you for listening.